What's up? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's 2025 has been good so far. This is Ray. Usually, I go by Ray Rob, the greatest. The person that thinks he knows everything, but he kind of right. But even though he's kind of right, we want to act like he's kind of wrong. I said a lot right there. My name is Ray Rob, man. I've had a lot of things. I've called it Sports by Ray, the Ray Rob Report, all of that. It's all intertwined in one. New title will be called, I've been doing it already, Thoughts by Ray. I'm just going to get to it. Let's talk about the fight. The fight between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis. It was a very, very good fight. I don't know much about Lamont Roach. A lot of people, I did see a lot of people saying that this was going to be a tougher fight than a lot of people expected. But because Gervonta has knocked out 28 out of 30 opponents, we didn't believe it. And so what ended up happening was what a lot of people predicted ended up coming true. Even though they've said that about a lot of people that Gervonta's fought, this could be his toughest match, and then Gervonta figures it out. Gervonta, kind of like Floyd, is a slow starter, and then he usually downloads the DNA. So I was talking to my homeboy. I made this kind of correlation. Some may get it, some may not. It's kind of like, to me, when Biggie and Jay-Z, they were one of the first people, they may not be the first people in history, but one of the first people that I ever heard say they don't write down lyrics. They just keep it in their head and they remember everything because of things that they did in the past, which caused them to store information in their head like that. Thought that was pretty dope. Their lyrics, as you can tell, were excellent, elite. And then when it came down to the next generation, you had Lil Wayne say after a while he started doing the same thing. And so I look at it like Floyd is like Hove and Big, and to a different extent, Gervonta is like Lil Wayne. So I think Wayne is excellent. You can call Wayne the greatest. I think Hove and Biggie are a little better than Lil Wayne, me personally, as far as lyrically, but Wayne is a monster. I'm not trying to get off topic. I'm just trying to correlate it. So when we seen Floyd do that, usually after the third or fourth round, because he's more of a technical fighter than Tank. But Tank has more power. Floyd had power in the beginning, and then as with the brittle hands and everything and breaking his hands, he became more of a tactician, hit and not get hit, but still dominate. Gervonta is on the same thing, except once he starts to download it, he starts to unload his power. The difference is Roach is familiar with him. They sparred as amateurs. Baltimore, D.C., that 30-minute thing, they know each other. Just like if like when you look at football, you look at sports, when two people in the same conference two people in the same division play each other a lot, they're very familiar. So anything can happen. We saw Cleveland beat Baltimore this year. I'm not saying Lamont Roach is Cleveland. It's just saying that when you have familiarity with somebody, you don't look at them like other people look at them. So Lamont, in those early rounds, essentially what happened was nothing. If y'all watched the fight, it wasn't a lot of activity. Usually those are the rounds that Gervonta loses. And so actually Gervonta, he didn't have a lot of uptick, but he won some of those rounds just because he kind of punched more. Or it was more noticeable. Not as if that it was distinctively noticeable, but it was just like, okay. And in boxing, boxing has its own issues with its rules and everything, but with boxing, when you fight a champion, you need to definitively beat the champion. That's just how it is. If you fight even, they giving it to the champ almost all the time. Unless it's Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley, but they was under Bob Arum, so you know how that goes. But other than that, so usually in the early rounds when Gervonta usually loses the fight, he actually won some of those rounds. That's a key part. So then in the middle, he started scoring. But one thing that I noticed is that Lamont knew kind of what he was doing. Lamont was able to weather those punches, and he was able to counter. So he was waiting because he knew Gervonta wanted to kind of load up with the left hand, and so his jab was working. And so once he started getting success with his jab, he started following the jab with other combos, keeping his distance, waiting for Gervonta actually to kind of make a mistake. And so, because Gervonta is a pretty good counterpuncher, but Roach became the counterpuncher. He stayed aggressive, stayed in pocket. He didn't. When Gervonta did his thing, he was able to keep him off him. So I think that threw Gervonta off. You could see the frustration. Gervonta was going back in the corner, and they were trying to tell him what to do, and he was like, "Nah, y'all need to listen to me." And we're not saying that hasn't happened before, but you could tell there was a little frustration because they couldn't get him out of there. And then in the later rounds, Roach was winning them. You know what I'm saying? They was at least even. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the controversial situation where Gervonta took a knee. It should have been scored a knockdown. You ain't allowed to take a knee. That was confusion. I don't know how they want to do it. If they overturn it, they overturn it. This is where people kind of just get on my nerves. Like, if you watch that, you could watch that fight and you can think that Roach won. And you could watch that fight and think that Gervonta won. But I just looked at that fight and it looked like it was inconclusive, which is why I wasn't mad at a majority draw. So then people try to say, well, if Roach would have been given that knockdown, then he would have won by 1 point. You can't say that. Theoretically, yes, you can say that. But in reality, we don't know what would happen. Because even Tank, boxers say after the fight, they wish there's things that they can do differently. And so, if they do call that a knockdown, and Tank knows that, maybe that gets Tank's attention. Maybe he locks in even more. Maybe he goes in there and then he ends up getting knocked out. Maybe he knocks out Roach. We don't know, but to just base it, that's easy to say. Like, if they would have gave that person that point, that means that he would have won the fight. Now, if they would have gave him that point, that means it would have been scored as a knockdown. Then everything changes, the urgency and all that. We can get it, but I'm all down for a rematch. But everybody's saying that Tank lost the fight. This was what's wrong with boxing and everything like that. No, this is just the first time you saw. Well, it's not even the first time. This is just the most competitive fight that you've probably seen Tank in, if you don't watch. But if you watch Tank, he's been in a lot of competitive fights. Rolly was winning. To me, Rolly was winning. What's the one dude? I can't even remember his name. The Latino fighter that he knocked out with the uppercut. They was going back and forth with that Tank because Tank is willing to take punishment to get where he needs to go. So this was just the fight that y'all didn't know who this person was, and then he outperformed expectations. So you might have thought, oh, okay, he won. Kind of, I kind of take it with Tarver and Jones, even though I missed that fight. I'm not even gonna lie. I came in at the end. I've watched it again, but that live feeling. And so people thought that Tarver won that fight. Now the second one, he proved without a doubt what it was. Tarver, Jones, similar situations. They grew up with each other, fought in amateurs. Tarver wasn't afraid of Roy. So that was a real interesting moment. A lot of people, excuse me, weather's been tripping. A lot of people have their own opinions. I'm fine with a draw. There was nobody that looked like they definitively won that. And then usually most of the times it goes to the champ in those situations. And now all of a sudden people thinking Tank can't fight, Tank ain't focused. Like, you have to be perfect every time you fight, or every time you are anytime you're on camera, that you have to be perfect, or else the criticism just comes. And that's just not the way sports works. We wanted a good fight. We got a good fight. Will we get it again? I don't know because I don't know how boxing works. I would love to see it. I would love to see him and Shakur. Um, you know, because everybody, I don't care what they say, Roach now can get all these fights because they saw what he did against Tank. Tank put him in the spotlight for the world to see. You know what I'm saying? And none of the other fighters can really do that. They just can't. So, of course, yeah, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying as far as star power. Because that's what, I want to see all of them fight. I'm just saying because they talk about Tank like he's scared, but Tank is the one. Because like if you the cash cow, of course you want the titles and everything, but it's the payout. So getting the titles is cool because you can how boxing is you can get titles and not have to fight anybody. But if you got all them titles and you can't make no money, now I would rather see them fight the best fights. But everybody talks about Tank. So now he done fought Roach. He done fought Pitbull. You know what I'm saying? He done fought Raleigh. He done fought Martin. So, I mean, I know Lopez is now a junior welterweight. Haney was at junior welterweight. Lomi refused to fight against Tank. I don't know where everybody forgets about that. And then you got Shakur. And then you got Garcia. None of them have fought any of those people that Tank fought. But then people still criticize. So why don't y'all fight some of them too? And fight Tank. I want Tank to fight all y'all. You know what I'm saying? I like Shakur. I like all of them. But how come y'all ain't fought none of those people? Like not any of them? Not any of them. And I know it's boxing politics, but okay, if they hand chosen, he beat him. Y'all gonna beat him too. So that's my take. I just had to get on here just to say that. Just some quick thoughts by Ray. Check me out on my social media. My name is Ray Rob, REIROBB 97. That's on all social media handles from Blue Sky, Twitter, Snapchat, and IG, TikTok, everything. Love and peace. Next time I come on here, we'll be having a discussion again about you know who, Justin Fields, and free agency that's coming up, as well as the draft. Yeah, have a good one. Peace.